So I've been working for myself for around 9 months now, and the most important skill that I've had to develop, and I'm still learning and will be learning for multiple years to come, is self-management. Because if you're unable to manage yourself, you're definitely not able to manage others, and you're not gonna be able to run a successful business. So everything starts with you. And there are 3 traps or 3 things that I have found that are very important to understand or avoid when it comes to effective self-management, and those are what I want to share with you today in this video. So the first thing that I want to talk about is a concept that really pertains to your longevity as an entrepreneur, because playing entrepreneurship, it's an infinite game. It means that there is no such thing as winning the game. It is more so how long can you stay in the game and what can you get out of it whilst you're in it. So if longevity is the thing that we're optimizing for, how can we play the game for as long as possible? And in my opinion, to be able to play the game for a long time, we must enjoy it. If you're in the creative space like I am, a lot of creatives tend to have perfectionist tendencies. And these perfectionist tendencies really get to us, especially when we're working on something for ourselves. We've all been there where we're working for someone else, we're doing something for someone else, where you have to show up for other people. And it's really easy. We don't have the same struggles that we do doing things for other people as we do for ourselves. But as soon as it comes time to work on our own project and do our own thing, something that's actually beneficial for us and that's something we really want to do, we just can't get past it. And in my opinion, the reason for this is because you're not being a good boss to yourself. Every time you try and go do something for yourself, you're just letting the perfectionist inside you berate you constantly. It's the age-old adage saying that you would never treat a friend the way that you're treating yourself if you're a perfectionist. And I think that is never more true than when you're self-employed or you're an entrepreneur and you're working for yourself, because you are your own boss. So if you're gonna work for yourself, and if you're gonna work for yourself long-term, which as I mentioned before, if you're gonna work long-term, you need to enjoy what you're doing so you can actually stay in the game and want to stay in the game. And I think a key to being able to be a good boss to yourself is to have perspective, to be able to go outside and look back in, and to realize sometimes that it's okay to not be perfect. Sometimes your schedule gets messed up. Sometimes you don't do exactly what you want to do in a day, but a boss would never berate you for those things, because or else you would leave the company. So if you're treating yourself in a way that would make someone else leave the company if you were their boss, doesn't it make you think that you shouldn't be treating yourself that way either? So it's very important that if you're gonna be your own boss, be a good boss to yourself, be kind to yourself, show yourself compassion, because at the end of the day, if you wouldn't do it to another person, try not to do it to yourself. So that leads me into my second point of self-management, which is environmental design. I think this is a huge key if you're working from home, even as an employee or if you're an entrepreneur. Working from home can be either the biggest lever for freedom and enjoyment, or it can be hell. The reason that it can be hell is because some people don't know how to manage themselves and they don't know how to manage their environment. A lot of people think that working from home takes willpower, it takes discipline. A lot of times I've been told that working from home is easier for me personally because I am someone who is shown to be disciplined. But that's not the case at all. It's the systems that I have in place that allow me to do things with ease and have me not exert discipline and willpower. So that's where environmental design comes into play. And there's a couple principles that you need to follow. So the number one rule of environmental design, in my opinion, is cut all distractions. You need to make all distractions obsolete. You need to make it so that you cannot get distracted. And the ways that I do this is, number one, when I'm doing deep work, when I'm doing maker work, when I'm creating things and I need my whole brain and I cannot be distracted, my phone is off. I power it off and it goes up somewhere in my cupboard that I cannot reach and I cannot see. It has to be out of sight to be out of mind. So that's number one. Second is you should have some kind of app or website blocker to just simply make it not possible for you to get distracted and go on distracting websites. For me, while I'm working, non-negotiable, Instagram needs to be blocked, Facebook needs to be blocked. I still do have YouTube access because sometimes I do need that for my work. But if it was up to me and that wasn't part of my job, I'd block that too. So pretty much block anything that you could possibly be distracted by. Definitely all social media needs to go. Even your email should be gone if you're doing deep work. Mine is. Personally, I don't check my email whilst I'm doing deep work. Majority of my deep work is editing. So I don't need any of that. So I block it all. I use an app called Freedom. They're not sponsoring me to say this. It's just the app that I prefer. So if I were you, I would get on that. They have a locked mode so that whilst you are in session, you cannot turn it off. So you are locked into your deep work. And the third thing for environmental design, where possible, is separate stations for things. So what do I mean by that? Your desk should not be in your bedroom. Ideally, you should not have more than one activity in one space. So where possible, move your workspace away from your resting place. Those are two very important distinctions. As I said, I'm not following that rule because I don't have an option, but if you do, this is something you should do. Because our mind is very good at associating places with actions. That's one of the most powerful things of environmental design, is that if you only work at your desk and you don't do entertainment at your desk, you don't rest where your desk is, your mind can get into work more easily because it's conditioned to know that when I sit down at this desk and I'm in front of this computer, the only thing I do is work. So it will help you get into flow. Same thing with a bedroom. If you just have a bedroom with a bed, your brain automatically knows, okay, it's time to go to sleep and rest, because it has the association. So those are 3 tips to environmental design. And the last one, which I think is really underrated, and a lot of people, especially in hustle culture, would disagree with me here, but a lot of us get into entrepreneurship because we want freedom. The reason that we want to work for ourselves is because we want to go spend 4 weeks in Europe on a random month of the year. We don't want to wait for our 2 to 4 weeks at Christmas and only be able to travel then whenever everyone else is. We want to be able to work from anywhere. We want to have the freedom to travel. We want to have that experience of sitting in the Swiss Alps and doing some work on the laptop remotely, or just not having to work at all and having the freedom to choose when you work, where you work, who with, etc. We're optimizing for freedom. And I think that as a new entrepreneur, it is very important that you seize the opportunity to use your freedom sometimes. This does not mean neglect your work and neglect your clients, but what it does mean is that you need to carve out times to do things that other people cannot. Such as 9-to-5 workers, they can't just go to a coffee store and chit chat with some friends from 9 to 11 a.m. because they've got a job that they've got to go to and they've got to be in the office. So I think that it's important that you exercise your freedom that you do have, and realize this comes in part of being a good boss, is that you don't have to be so hard on yourself all the time. I think that the people who are driven enough to work for themselves and quit a job and take that leap, you probably have very high standards for yourself, and you're not someone who's going to let yourself down. You've probably shown that time and time again in other areas of life, maybe play sport or you're big into fitness. You've shown yourself that you can show up for you. So I think that it's important that when it comes into work, you don't need to be so hard on yourself because you already have such high standards. You don't need to keep reinforcing that. You already know you have that. It's probably that you need more of the other side, the softer side, where you're being a good boss to yourself. You're allowing yourself to relax and rest when you otherwise wouldn't if you just listen to your inner perfectionist. So take advantage of what you do have and realize that maybe you can relax a little more, or you can change your hours around and really work whenever you want, because that is the reason that you became an entrepreneur, because you're optimizing for freedom. Of course, the success is going to come. Do the work so that you can get the business that you want. But when you're in periods where things are not so busy, exercise your freedom. This is the whole reason you started entrepreneur. So those are the 3 pieces of advice that I would give to new entrepreneurs in how to manage themselves better, to be more effective, but also just to be happier, more joyful, and enjoy doing the work. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you enjoy what you're doing. Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to do it long term, and you're not going to get the rewards you seek, because anything worth doing is going to take a long time. So it's important that we optimize for that. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more videos just like this coming.